300. What's the deal? It's your folks, Shaka. I wanted to share my thoughts with y'all real quick. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about the Larry Elder interview on the Breakfast Club. I think it's a good backdrop to share a greater message. Now, I've checked out some commentary on the subject, and I believe that there are some things that just was not hit on and spoke on. So, that is why I'm making the video. And so the first thing I want to hit on here is I didn't see many people speaking on why they believe that even happened anyway. Why did they invite him on the Breakfast Club? Okay. In my opinion, because, just when you look at this dude, Larry Elder, he's not, a representation of who they would want on the Breakfast Club. They don't really get anywhere with him. You know what I'm saying? He's not a representation of what they do, their angles, or nothing. But I believe they had him on there because an election year is coming up. And I believe that a lot of these liberals over there are kind of looking around, seeing that they are losing a lot of the black vote to conservatism. All right. And what makes matters worse is this is happening at the level of the so-called younger black generation. All right. And so I think that they are doing a few things. Like I say, they ain't doing nothing as extra as they used to because they're kind of moving out the door on the black vote, but maybe they feel like they need it just a little bit. So they had him come on the show to try to make an example of him, okay? To suggest that either if you are a black conservative, you're not to be taken seriously, or if you are thinking about it, think again. You know what I'm saying? But obviously, y'all see it did not work out well for them. All right, because this dude ran laps around them. And I think that that's one of the best examples you can see as to the reason why, man, you should take none of those people over there in entertainment seriously. Okay? They are 100% pawns. Most of them people are not as smart as y'all think they are. All right? They might have a little talent. They might be somewhere. Some of them don't have no talent at all. In my opinion, they literally pull up on these people, get them in the back room and say, hey, look, what else you got to lose? And they put them on or whatever. All right. Throughout their tenure there, they're not becoming smarter people, especially on these matters. All right. They 100% take orders. And so this dude, Larry Elder, pulled up and he exposed that. All right. So like I say, if that ain't enough for you, in my opinion, you're not somebody that matter out here at all. It ain't no coming back for you. So I will say that, and just what they said, I do, I will say that I agree with the majority of what this dude, Larry Elder, said and what he was talking about. Now, I'm going to hit on a few things, maybe not in order. I'm not going to hit on everything, but some things that I think I heard, and I wanted to fill in the blanks in some of them. But the first thing was apparently they got into the racism talk, okay, of course. And one thing I want to say with the dude Larry Elder, because he apparently is an advocate for there is no such thing as racism in this country, and in our community and culture, we believe racism does exist. And it's not always a bad thing, okay? Racism is when a group of people decide to go out and compete for wealth, resources, opportunities, or whatever in an effort to bring something back to their people and see their people better tomorrow. Okay, that's the real definition of racism. Now, obviously, some people can be a lot more raw than others on how they go about it. It ranges from a small to a big scale, okay? But it does exist. And in my opinion, if you have groups, communities, cultures, and things like that that are out here, it should exist under that definition. Okay, under that definition, you know, it should exist. Now, obviously, other groups of people who have been practicing in it a lot better than so-called black people, they are a lot more, I would say, advanced with practicing it. Okay, and so they're at the level where they understand that they gotta give a little to take a lot, you know what I'm saying? Especially when they're dealing with so-called black people and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? And so-called black people not really understanding the dynamics and complexities of it may look at it like it's a bad thing, you know, but it's not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? And I want to say that, and I don't agree with dudes like Larry Elder pulling up, suggesting that it is. You know what I'm saying? And one thing we got to be careful with, man, is we can't always look to these older generations of people who kind of like got us here all the time and think that they, you know, kind of like know what they talking about on a lot of things. You know, a lot of them are, you know, some might be smart people, but a lot of them got a lot of these narratives ingrained in them, and they just are not making any sense. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely do want to say that it's a thing, and like I say, one of the lines I always say, that dude David Banner. You know what I'm saying? I got to give him his props. One thing he said that was a classic: black folks are not racist enough. Okay? And that's real talk. Okay? So I think that we need to get past complaining about racism and establish these micro communities and cultures or whatever, and get out there and get in the game and try to compete for something. Okay? To bring it home to your people, so that y'all can put it in the game, take it into a higher plane. It benefits y'all, see y'all better tomorrow, and y'all can bring it back on out to the world. Okay? And so I think that if we understood it under that definition, it would not be the topic of conversation, okay, like it is today. All right? How people speak about it. There's a difference between racism and bigotry. All right? And I think that that's one of the main reasons why people have a hard time understanding and grasping it, especially so-called black people, because it's so smeared. And, you know, people say a name to you and you'll call it racism. That's not racism. Now, this dude, Larry Elder, he is dealing with a form of racism. Okay? But we'll talk about that in just a minute. All right? But just moving on from that, the second thing that they got to speaking about was this whole loan thing. All right? Because obviously he was standing on how he does not believe that there is no racism. They start speaking to him about, black people being denied loans in comparison to other groups of people. And I like how this dude, Larry Elder, addressed it, because he did speak on the credit, and he had good examples as to the reason why, you know, some so-called black people, they kind of miss being approved for loans and things like that. But he took it a step further, and in so many words, he pretty much said that, you know, what I've been saying for a very long time. Look, man, whether y'all accept it or not, I said this about some housing video like a year ago. Your group of people, your social and economic value out here is going to determine what you have access to. All right? And when you listen to that dude, Larry Elder, he was pretty much speaking about like how he brought in the Asian. And he was speaking about how pretty much how they have better access to various different things, okay? Because they mean more out here socially, well, not so much socially, but definitely economically, okay? And so they have value out here, and so they're gonna get a lot more access than so-called black people collectively. That's just how it is. Like even when I said with the housing, if your group of people or a lower value group of people socially and economically, yes, you moving into a community is going to drop the value of that community. These are the facts, okay? Black people can't be raised on these facts because you're going to do something about it, all right? And so they sit around here and tell you a bunch of nonsense and stuff like that. But in my opinion, that's pretty much what he said in so many words, okay? And a lot of so-called black people will say, well, how did we get here? Because it ain't because of your color, okay? The reason why so-called black people are here today in that situation where you are not as valuable socially and economically is because you gave up the effort to continue investing in that, okay, with the civil rights. You know, obviously, y'all know I'm not on the TikTok app no more, but I spoke about that a lot more in depth on there, okay? So-called black folks, you made a decision, okay, to become a integrationalist group of people with the civil rights. That's why I be telling, I don't understand why y'all be praising all those civil rights era people. Because all they were a bunch of spokespeople for why black people need to integrate. All right, which ultimately led to this situation today. All right, you know, so-called black folks chose this system. You did. You know, there was a girl on there who was on there, by the way, staged on there. She was meant to be on there to be, you know, irate and defensive the way that she was, okay, and confrontational the way that she was. They wanted her like that so that they could try to make more of an example out of him. That's why she was on a Zoom call and really not in person. All right, that was by design. You know, that's why dude Charlemagne would let it go for a little bit, but then he would call her off a little bit. But she was on there trying to talk about the system. You know what I'm saying? And she was really trying to get him to say this whole, well, it's the white man's system. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. But, you know, at the end of the day, so-called black folks chose the system. This was something that black folks were sitting around saying, no, this is good for us. And there were a few, like I say, we say 300. There were a few back then that was like, no, do not do this. This is going to send us down the wrong path. And no, we follow Martin Luther King and all these people, even Malcolm X before his demise, okay, instructed black folks to do this stuff. Because why? They were more interested in integrating. All right? And that's the reason why black folks are here today, you know, dealing with stuff like being denied loans unfairly, what they would say and things like that. Because had we continued to be the people that we were, okay, it wouldn't matter. You know, a lot of times we would be writing the loans. A lot of times you would get the loan written from other groups of people because they couldn't afford, okay, to have so-called the black community at their best being at their neck, okay? Okay, on an economic and social level. But man, yeah, man, so-called black people gave that up with the civil rights. You know, just not to really talk, you know, away from it, but I seen this video and I'm gonna drop a short about it. I already got it, but some person was kind of speaking on why black people do not support black business. And they were making a State of the Union address to the collective black people, and they don't understand that so-called black people collectively, they don't want to do that. Okay? They're integrationalists. They don't see things how us who who think logically, we may have some pride, whether it's a little to a lot. They don't see things the way that we see things. Okay? And so and they have ultimately determined, after the decision of the civil rights, they have ultimately been dictating why the so-called black community is behind, because that's what the integrationist is made to do. Okay. All right. At the expense of us to benefit the collective group of them, which is all other groups of people, okay, who are put onto game on how this go. But they needed so-called black folks to decide into it, and they did it. All right. And so that's what I wanted to say there, because they also got to talking about Black Wall Street. You know, they got to talking about the Black Wall Street or whatever. And the dude Larry Elder had explained how black people had built Black Wall Street back brick from brick. Because see, which I don't understand, the whole little bombing of Black Wall Street, it was strategic. Okay? Because they had already planned on leading into the civil rights, because they wanted to benefit from what so-called black folks had within them. Okay? But this dude Larry Elder spoke on how black people built it back brick for brick without a dime of the government's money. Okay? Now I have to confirm that as a fact, but I believe it to be true when you know a lot of the other details. At least most of, you know what I'm saying? But he has stated that that's what happened. But black folks did not want to support it again. Okay? And y'all have heard that before. Okay, black people, they wanted to integrate. And so that is a great reason why here today, just long story, back around here, you know, the reason why so-called black people, we do deal with a lot of these social and economic issues today. Okay? All right? We made a decision to allow these other people to come in and dictate things that they should not have had the position to do. Okay? And so, you know, that's kind of the other thing I wanted to talk about. And the next thing is, you know, obviously, the dude Larry Elder, the highlight of it all was Charlemagne asking him, have he had his little nigga moment yet? And the dude Larry Elder fired back at him about the whole Joe Biden situation. And, you know, he put Charlemagne in check, okay? He definitely put him on ice, all right? But, you know what I'm saying? The truth of the matter is, because, again, what that dude Larry Elder exposed about Charlemagne is why y'all shouldn't take them seriously. Okay? Because the truth of the matter is, if Charlemagne was really the type of so-called black person that had any respect for himself, any cultural type of black pride and things like that, he wouldn't have been cool with that. You know what I'm saying? But see, they gotta give the example over there that so-called black folks are supposed to be accepting of everything these people come at you with. All right, you're not supposed to have a problem with it. And a so-called black person like that, they don't really matter at all. Okay? Especially within culture and community. But, you know, he kind of called him out on that and he blasted him. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, this dude Larry Elder, we got to see if he's going to get fed up with his old conservative side over there and leave after they did him how he did. Because, you know, y'all, in my opinion, if you're a so-called black person at all, if you really want to make change, you might as well give it up at this point in time right now, doing it in politics. All right? So-called black people don't influence it enough. You got to work a lot on your communities and cultures so that y'all are a value of people to be taken seriously. before you can get into politics and do something. It doesn't matter who you are as an individual. Because as you can see right now, they're making a joke out of him. You know, they're making a joke out of him, but they are also trying to put a cork in his momentum. Because that whole Breakfast Club thing that went down, that was how he handled things and stuff like that. It was presidential, how he was doing it. He didn't go off on the girl. He didn't let her get him off his school. And he was very thorough and direct. You know what I'm saying? He was getting a lot of traffic from it. People were sharing it out over social media. Okay? Dude, and so I believe what he said when he said that he qualified. But you know what? They came in and they practiced a little racism. All right? You know, they got their own little plan over there, what they want to do with those politics or whatever. And he's not a part of the club, not at that level. All right? And so they wasn't about to let him bring that momentum onto that stage and kind of be addressing things the way that he was. All right? And, you know, might cause a problem for them that might mess up their little script. You dig? They wasn't having that for him. So, I mean, you know, I wonder if he had his moment. Okay? Because they got him all over there talking about how they rigged it against him and everything. But, like, the truth of the matter is, like, you know, none of them are exempt because, in my opinion, he's over there too. You know, y'all never know. He could just be playing the whole script right now. You dig? So, yeah, man. Really, I just wanted to go ahead and speak on those things. You know, I feel like it was something else I wanted to hit on there, but, you know, whatever. I might throw it in on the short or something like that. But those are the things that I primarily wanted to speak on. You know, what did y'all think of the situation? You know, go ahead and drop your comment below. Definitely like or dislike this information. Hit that sub button and that bell. It's 300.